everybody. I have not been, oh my goodness, I have not been live on YouTube in months and so long. Well, actually, I did do a live, but it was a partnership live that I did with Million Stories Media a couple of weeks ago now, maybe a month or a month and a half ago. But I haven't done any live Q&As myself lately. So I decided to go live to answer questions specifically about my move to Miami. So if you've been following me on Instagram, then I'm sure you already know that I moved to Miami. And if you have not been following me on Instagram, well, then here's the big news. I moved from New York City, New Jersey area down to Miami in July, at the very beginning of the summer, July 1st, well, my beginning of my summer. And I've been officially a Florida resident now for a whole month, which is so exciting because I literally did not spend any time living outside of New York City except for my 4 years in college. And then I went right back to New York City. I did spend the summer traveling abroad for a little while, but that was really just like staying at an Airbnb. It wasn't like a permanent place. I didn't sign a lease and like look into actually permanently living somewhere else, except for this, which is like really my official move. I mean, I lived in Jersey for a little while for 2020 for a year and a half, but it was like 15 minutes away from New York. Like it was like taking the train. It was basically like being in New York City. I never really felt like I left because it was so close. So anyway, I got a lot of questions on Instagram because I posted a new podcast episode today. So if anybody is, here that's new, didn't know, I have a podcast called Mind Your Money. I do podcast episodes every Monday on the podcast audio. Hi, Nora. And I also do the video version of the conversation that I have with the podcast guests, and I post them here on my YouTube channel as well. So I am definitely going to be talking more about the move. And I posted a podcast episode today on the show. Today's Monday, August 2nd. And I talked about a lot of the different things that I thought about when I was deciding, making that decision, like, should we move? And if we're going to move, where to go? Why did we decide Miami? What were all the things involved in that decision? That's in the podcast. So definitely go check it out. Mind Your Money with Miss Be Helpful, anywhere that you listen to podcasts. And then I went in to my Instagram and I said, hey, if y'all have questions about my move to Miami, go ahead and ask me. And I'm going to tell y'all, I had so many questions. Like I cannot keep track. There were hundreds and hundreds of people that sent me questions. But I picked a couple because I'm like, obviously, I can't go through 100 questions plus. And I definitely wanted to make sure that like I got a couple of the good ones, especially the ones that were repeated, because there were some questions that I got over and over again, like the same question, just worded differently or straight up the same question over and over again. So let me see what the chat is looking like. Oh my goodness. Hey, so many familiar names. Jesus, he says, about time. I miss your live streams. Oh, thank you, Jesus, for showing me love. I am definitely going to be doing lives more. I've been trying to set a goal around it because the reality is life happens. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm doing all this stuff for my full-time job. And then I go on Instagram and post things there. And I forget about my YouTube fam. But I'm really going to start committing to more live Q&As because I realize that that's what a lot of people like, and try to like schedule a few weekly of the old tutorial style videos. But just keeping it real, my full-time job, getting a book going, and the podcast have been like taking over my life. And then also, of course, my family and my boyfriend and moving to a new city. But I promise to be a lot more active in the second half of 2021 here, especially things have been kind of settling down for me. So I posted on Instagram recently also then, all right, and then this is the last thing I'm going to say before I take questions. But I posted on Instagram recently that I moved to Miami, of course, but right before that, I shared about my book. So I'm actually going to be writing a book, which is so exciting. It's called Mind Your Money, just like the podcast. And I'm going to be working with a company called Scribe Media, which is a really cool media company. It's a startup that's working with people that want to do something different from a traditional book publishing process. And I definitely wanted to do something different because y'all know I started my YouTube channel in 2015 before a lot of other creators were even doing stuff online. And I mean, there were definitely other creators at that time, but not a lot about personal finance. And so I've really kind of had that like, I guess it's like a scar a little bit, the pain of creating content, creating videos, putting a bunch of stuff on there and not really seeing a lot of money because YouTube takes like 45% of a cut. Every time I post stuff, every time I make money, YouTube takes 45%. And so I started thinking about like how the traditional publishing industry works. When you have a book, how they get all the control. They get all the final say on your manuscript, the editing process, your title, your cover image. And I'm like, I don't like that. Like, I want to be the one to control this project and make this book my baby. So that's why I decided to look and do some research. And I found Scribe, and I think that they are perfect for what I want to do. They set up audio interviews with me so that we can get the manuscript, like, basically transcribed, so that it's not as much of a laborious process of me typing on a blank Google Doc. And so it definitely is a lot more of a friendly process for people like me who like to talk but don't want to spend a lot of time writing. So anyway, I cannot wait to tell you more about the process. We are literally like working through the manuscript right now. We've done all of the hours and hours and hours of interviews already. And so really we have the meat, right? The content of the book. And we're just working on like those edits and really getting the chapters outlined to the point where they look great. And then we can get to like the finalizing. So I will definitely be telling more about the book process as we're finalizing the chapters. But right now, that's all I'm going to say. So just stay tuned here on YouTube, and also, of course, follow me on Instagram as well. So I'm going to jump into some of these questions. It looks like y'all are jumping into, Jersey Mob 15 said, where's the link to the podcast? So I didn't put the link here, but if you literally just go wherever you listen to podcasts and just type in Mind Your Money with Miss Be Helpful, you're going to see it pop up, and you'll see a little green icon for my podcast with a little money emoji sticking out the dollar sign tongue. That's the image for that icon and the image for my podcast. Watching your live with my brother. Hey, shout out to you, Alan, and to your brother, Elver. Luis says, saludo de Long Beach. Oh, all the way on the other side. Hey. Love it. So what I'm going to do, I want to just go ahead and jump into some questions. I'm going to take the ones that were submitted on Instagram already. But if y'all have questions, please, right here, put them in the live chat. And I'm going to just scroll through my tripod is being really annoying today. It's being really wobbly. So I need to order a new one. But every time I touch the screen, the tripod wobbles a little bit, but that's okay. If y'all have questions, I promise I will still see them. So just put them in the chat box, and I'll come back. So I'm going to start with, how did you decide on pros and cons for selling furniture for a big move? This is a good one because this is from Emma K. Lange. This is a really good one. And I think the key here is the fact that I had to think about like how much it's going to cost to get the furniture from my apartment in New Jersey all the way to where we are in Miami. And for me, it's like, that you have to think about like what's going to cost money a lot. Some people think that when you're shipping things, it's the distance that they charge you, like how far you're driving, but that's not really it. It's sometimes they look at how heavy objects are. And also for me, I didn't want to pay more to have movers come in the apartment, pack everything up, take it down and ship it and pack it again. So I knew like, okay, my boyfriend and I, we're young, we're fit, we could do this. So we're going to pack everything up and then they'll just pick it up downstairs and take it. So keeping those two things in mind, one is the heavier the stuff, the more you might pay for shipping it. And two, the heavier the stuff, the more you're going to be breaking your back, picking it up and packing it and moving it. So I decided to like go through based on weight. Some of the things that we had that were really, really heavy, we sold it before we moved. And then the things that were that we didn't really want anymore, we gifted, we donated. Like we had this big couch. Actually, every time you see the podcast videos on my YouTube channel, at the very beginning when I started the podcast, there's a video where I'm pulling the couch into the front of the kitchen in my old apartment. This is the kitchen in my new apartment, but in the old apartment, it was a similar style kitchen. But that navy blue couch that turns into a sleeper, it's like a futon, that we didn't want anymore because we actually bought a new gray couch. And so we're like, what are we gonna do with this big old navy blue couch? And I was kind of tempted to bring it because I was like, well, you never know, it turns into a bed. Like when we have guests, we could always just, put it in another room and just turn it into a bed. But thinking about putting a whole second couch, it just didn't make sense, right? There's going to be plenty of people that need a couch. So we went ahead and donated that. And a bunch of clothes and shoes that we just really weren't wearing and using anymore, we donated as well. Now, when it comes to furniture, I'm not going to lie, we're very minimal. Like there's a podcast episode that I did here with my boyfriend. If y'all haven't watched it, check it out. We talk about how we're super minimal and we actually don't have a bed, like a big mattress with a bed frame and everything, which to be honest, that's usually people's biggest, heaviest piece of furniture. We don't have that. We sleep in a big hammock. The hammock is super lightweight. It's easy to pack. It's literally fabric. We can throw it in the washer and dryer. We can pack it in a bag and bring it with us anywhere. So because of that, we didn't really have to, pack that crazy kind of amount of stuff. So that was my pros and cons of moving furniture. And honestly, the cons was like, how heavy is it and how much is it going to cost? The pros was we don't have to buy new furniture when we get to Miami, right? Like the couches that we brought with us, we bought in Jersey before we moved, and we love these couches. Like I'm not going to buy new furniture if I don't have to. So I'm glad that I did that. All right, we got Iggy Jr. 213 on Instagram said, did you close or open any bank accounts, or did it matter? Did anything of it matter because everything's online? Great question. I did not close or open any bank accounts. Everything that I have is online, so it was super easy. Now, if I had chosen to bank with a local credit union, I would probably have to think about that, because in Miami, they're not going to have the same local credit unions that is local to me in New York City and the New Jersey area. So that would have definitely been an issue. But I have been banking with, I actually posted a video about who I bank with. My savings account is with Ally. My checking account is with Charles Schwab. And I have a couple of other accounts. I have a Chime account, and I have like some cash just sitting in some of my investment accounts that I'll move in there. But honestly, it's not a big deal. If you have online accounts, you can use them anywhere. And so that's really honestly for me a blessing. And the cool thing about having a checking account with Charles Schwab is that if I use that debit card to get cash anywhere, it doesn't even matter what ATM machine, where I am, at the end of the month, they reimburse me back for all the ATM fees. And the reality is, honestly, y'all, I don't even be getting cash that much since the pandemic, especially. I feel like everything has been less and less with cash. And I honestly never had like Apple Pay or any of the like digital wallet, like where you tap your phone to pay for stuff. I didn't have that until like literally till like a few months ago in 2021. That's when I finally set up my Apple Pay, because I realized that sometimes I'm out and I forgot my wallet and I want to pay for something. But for the longest time, till 2021, I did not hook up my Apple Pay because I didn't want to overspend. Like I didn't want to be out and be like, oh, okay, boom, I just put it on my phone, you know. So, but I do trust myself that I'm not going to just use it unless I had a planned purchase. But for example, like the other day I went to the supermarket. They have a supermarket downstairs near the apartment building that I'm in. So I went down there and I'm like doing some quick groceries, and I realized I planned to buy groceries today, but I did not bring my wallet. And I thought I was gonna have to run back upstairs, and I remembered that I hooked up Apple Pay. So it was so nice to just have it on my phone. But I try really hard, like don't not to take advantage, and don't think that like, oh, just because I have that on my phone means I can go buy stuff, because that's not a good look. That's not cute. So in short, no, I did not open or close any bank accounts. Fire by 50, what's your next big money goal now that you moved to Miami? This is a great question, because I feel like I need to sit and do new money goals, because my birthday is in August. August is my birthday month. And I feel like every year around my birthday is when I kind of really, most people do money goals like around the new year. And I love that. I think new year, new energy, great, jump on it. But for me, I feel like that's like around my birthday where I start thinking like, all right, this is a new year of my life. Like what I'm about to do. What are my new goals? What I've accomplished that I'm excited about accomplishing, and what do I want to accomplish that I haven't done yet? For me, I think there's two big things that I want to do. One, I'm officially like on track to do it by December, which is to max out my 401k with my company, with my job. And that has been like, I've wanted to max out my 401k for so long, and I just could never get to that $19,500. Like in my head, I was like, $19,500? Like I'm taking that money away from my income and just locking it in a 401k until I'm 59 and a half. Like that, it hurts. Like it's painful to think about locking that much money away until I'm 59 and a half. But the reality is, I started looking at my finances. I'm like, you know what? With all of my side hustle money from MissBeHelpful, from YouTube, from all of the other partnerships, speaking engagements, all the stuff that I'm doing, and on top of that, with my work salary, and I'm still director at NGPF. So I'm like, you know what? If I combine all the sources of income that I have, plus investing income and all this other stuff, like, why am I not doing that? So I looked at my finances and I was like, you know what? Boom, I'm gonna do it. This is the year. So I am maxing out my 401k this year for the first time. Whoop, whoop. I'm officially grown. I'm in my 30s. We maxing out 401ks now, y'all. That's what we're doing. We're leveling up. And then the second thing that I want to do, which I have not done yet, is I really want to get serious about learning about real estate and getting a down payment officially set aside just for a house. One of the things I do have is I have a big investment account with tens of thousands of dollars. That's literally just a general brokerage investing account with no tax advantages. And I throw as much money in there every month as I can, right? If I don't have to help my family, if nobody's asking me for money, if I don't have to do anything, and I've been doing a lot less of those things, honestly. But, when my financial stuff is handled and I have extra money, I throw it in that brokerage account. But now I really feel like I need to start thinking about real estate, right? Because I'm about to turn 32, y'all, and renting apartments is great. But I know eventually at some point I want to own real estate, not just for me to be like a homeowner and live in a place, but also because of the fact that I want to learn the process so I can eventually own properties and like have that source of income as well. It's not my preferred source of income. The stock market is definitely my preferred because it's more passive and it's easier. And over time, it has shown to return more money or compound more money over time compared to real estate. But real estate is good for some tax breaks and for cash flow as well. So I do feel like, I want to learn more about that. So if y'all are big into real estate and you got some real estate people that you follow, let me know, put them in the comments because I definitely want to learn more. Christian Cruz says, see, real estate is the way to go. I mean, I'm trying to learn. I think I would say the stock market is the way to go, but I do want to learn more about real estate. So that's going to be a big goal as well. All right, let's see. How did you prepare financially to move to Miami? This is from Jen.s on Instagram. Honestly, preparing to move to Miami was not difficult for me because I was coming from a higher cost of living city like New York City. And actually, I don't know who it was in the live right now, but somebody just asked me a couple chats ago about is it more expensive or cheaper to be, it was Edward. Edward said, how is the cost of living compared to New York? That is a great question, Edward. And it's kind of the same to what Jen.s on Instagram is saying. I didn't really have to do so much pre-preparation as much as really doing the calculations because preparation is to me is like saving up for a move. And thank goodness I'm blessed that I didn't really have to save up for the move because when I did the calculations and looked at the situation, it was actually going to save me money. I was going to make more money moving to Miami compared to staying in New York, New Jersey area. And there's a couple of reasons why, and I went into all of this in my podcast, right? But just in case, I'll tell you a couple of the highlights. One is cost of living, like Edward said, is cheaper. Like I was honestly, when I was doing the podcast recording, I looked at all the data for the cost of living in Miami compared to New York City, and Miami is much cheaper across the board on all areas: real estate, healthcare, groceries, rent, everything in Miami, transportation. Everything is cheaper here compared to New York City. So for me, that was like a big green check. Like, bam, we doing that. If it's cheaper, that's a good reason to move. And then the second reason why I made more money by moving to Miami than I would have staying in New York City is because of taxes. And I really do feel like not enough people talk about this, but Florida is one of the 9 states where there's no income taxes at the state level. So when you file your taxes, usually you have to file 2 tax returns. You have to file the federal file tax return and you have to file your state. But Florida does not have a state income tax. So they don't charge income taxes on your personal income that you earn. And they also don't require you to file a state income tax form. So because of that, that's why I was like, you know what? That's going to work for me. Like I'm going to be able to keep the money that I'm giving away to when I was in New York City to New York State, and also when I was in New Jersey to New Jersey. Like instead of giving those state taxes away to the state, I'm actually going to be able to keep that money. When I look at my pay stub, I actually just see those dollars coming to me, keeping those dollars instead of giving it. So I was actually able to see from June my 2 pay stubs. I went into Gusto to check my 2 pay stubs in June were compared to July, I had an increase of 16.6% more money per paycheck. So my June paycheck to my July paycheck has an increase of 16.6% more money. And that is just from not paying taxes to New York City or to New York or New Jersey, the state, and to paying and to not paying it to Florida state now that I'm a Florida resident. So I gotta say, whoo, that was a nice little treat, a nice little bonus. I felt like I gave myself a raise. Like I said that on the podcast. Like I feel like I literally gave myself a raise by moving to Miami. So that was definitely a good thing. Did you have to take a pay cut for moving to a lower cost of living state? Great question from Millennial Money Progress on Instagram. Here's the beauty of that. I'm definitely blessed. And I said this as a disclaimer on the podcast, and I'll say it again here. Like, y'all, I am very blessed because I've been able to work remotely. I was kind of half remote before COVID because I was traveling a lot. And whenever I was not traveling, I was working from home remotely. I would travel for teacher conferences, teacher trainings, to go to do school visits, classroom visits, and presentations about the organization, or meetings, right, with potential partners, and advocacy meetings, right, to like try to meet with legislators or politicians who want to promote financial literacy. All that required me sometimes to, get dressed and go out. But that was usually like every few weeks. Most of the time I was working remotely, and I was based in New York, New Jersey. Now, because of COVID and the pandemic, all the trainings, the meetings, everything that we've been doing at my full-time job has been virtual, pretty much through Zoom. So I'm really lucky and fortunate that I did not have to go back to work in person. Even now that some people are starting to get those, emails and that those meetings at work, like, okay, it's time to come on back to the office. Like, we got cookies, we're waiting for you. And a lot of people are like, no, we don't want to go back to the office. Like, it's a big issue, and there's actually like there's a lot of news saying that the data showing that a lot of people who don't want to go back, if they're being forced to go back, they're actually just quitting, because maybe they took the pandemic to save up enough money so that they don't have to do a job they don't want, and maybe they would really rather find a job that allows them to be hybrid or virtual so that they don't have to stress about getting ready to go back in person to work, because a lot of people had kids during the pandemic. They had a lot of free time in their hands. People had kids. People are just used to now this new lifestyle. Being able to have lunch together is a nice thing. Having a meal as a family, being able to have more time at home with your partner, with your kids. I feel like a lot of people are just like comfortable with that. And of course, there's those people that are dying to go back to the office. They want to get a break from their kids, from their family, from their household. That's fine. But I feel that that's a little bit less. The people that, want to be able to have that flexibility to work remotely, I think is a lot more. So thank goodness, I have the ability to continue to work remotely, continue to serve the teachers, and the financial education work that I do is going to stay remote, at least for me, because I'm in Miami and my company is based in California. So thank goodness I did not have to take a pay cut. I did not have to deal with any kind of salary cut or new job description, or find a new job in Miami because I moved. Like, I really lucked out, and I'm just so blessed to have a job that supported me in moving, and I didn't have to deal with any of that. I would definitely say, though, if you want to move to another city, really you want to be looking for work before you get there, because the worst thing you can do is move there without a job and only have a couple months saved up, and then if the job hunt takes longer than you expected, now you're going to have to go into debt to pay rent and pay bills and expenses until you find a job, and who knows how long that's going to take. So I would, for me, I tend to not be super risky when it comes to life choices and big moves like that. I would say it's much smarter to find out where you're going to be working and then make that move. She is Libre on Instagram said, did you pay a realtor to find your apartment? I did not pay a realtor. She is Libre. I have done that before because of just not knowing like how to get around it. But I do feel like after apartment hunting so many times in my life now, I've been in different apartments from when I was 22 and graduated college to this year that I'm a month away from turning 32. So I got almost 10 years under my belt of apartment hunting. And I feel that if you know how to do it right, you do not have to pay realtor fees. And one of the biggest ways that I have benefited from like online searching for apartments is going directly to the owner, going directly to the company that is opening these apartments, right? So one of the things that my boyfriend and I did when we were looking, we went straight to the property. We're like, all right, go to the property website, find out what buildings this property management company, how many buildings do they own, where are they have one in Miami, great, check it out, where is it affordable for us, can we afford it? Like, we started with with the owner and then worked our way to the locations. And when we were in New York City, we did the same thing on Craigslist, which I know people be like, Craigslist is a little sketchy, but honestly, if you go on Craigslist and look for listings by owner, listed by owner, you don't have to go through agents, realtors, all these things. If you're buying a property, of course, you're going to want probably have that realtor there to help you with the process to look at different properties. But in the apartment hunting process, honestly, unless you're buying a super luxury, really expensive apartment and you want to see a bunch, like if you got money like that, great, get yourself a realtor. But reality is most average people don't need to do that. You can look for listings by owner, look for listings by the landlord, or look for buildings that have apartments available for lease or for rent by the property management company, and look for the owner who posted, or the website. Just go directly to the website and you can do an application online with these buildings. So that's what we did. We just applied directly with the company, with the building, and then they contacted us. We did make time to come see it while we were in Miami back in May for my boyfriend's birthday over Memorial Day weekend. We had some time, we saw it, and we liked it, and we're like, okay, now we know like more or less if where that is. And we did a little bit of research before then, and in June, like mid-June, we had to like officially apply by then. So it gave us time to research, like, is this a good neighborhood? Do we want to live there? Is it located in a convenient area? What's around there so we don't get bored? Is it close to the airport so when our family comes, we can just quickly get them, things like that. So definitely, I would think that you don't have to pay a realtor if you don't want to in 2021. Sumaruma12 on Instagram said, "Were you interested at all in buying a house in Miami metro area as opposed to renting?" I gotta say, I would never buy a house somewhere that I didn't live there first, like as a renter. And I say that because I want to know what the experience is like renting there and living there before I commit to owning a property there. So unless I, had visited many times, which honestly in Miami, I had only really been here like 3 times before, and I liked it, but yeah, I hadn't been here enough times to really know what it feels like to live here. So this is, I think, the first step. If I ever bought property in Miami, not to say I'm not interested in it, but I don't know yet if that's something I want to do. I'm like I said before, like I want to research that this, year of my life. But if I did decide to buy property, I would actually now have some experience under my belt in terms of what the city's like, what neighborhoods might be good to buy in, where the convenient locations are, things like that, that I wouldn't have known if I had bought right now. I wouldn't have had that experience. Jesus said that my new kitchen looks similar to my old one. That's an interesting thing to say, Jesus. I think the reason why is because we look for development companies that build apartment complexes that are very similar. Like the way that we did apartment hunting, like I was telling you guys, I went onto the website and put an application in with the company that, like with the building. So when we look for apartments, we're looking for certain things. We like everything to be no appliances. We like for there to be a doorman, some kind of security in the front. We like for the package system to be like smart. In our old building, they had like the Amazon locker boxes, and every time packages came, you just got a code. You unlock the code, and you got your mail. It was so nice and easy. They have a similar system here. It's not as fancy. It's not as advanced as that, but it is really easy to get packages when they come. I don't have to, wait. And yeah, I just feel like we are willing to pay a little bit more for these things because when we didn't have as much income, didn't have as much money, and we didn't really know much, we would just rent apartments that we were on the first floor or the second floor, and it didn't have as much of the like quote unquote luxury things. And I felt like we just kind of got stuck in our own little world. And because we moved to a new city, it was more important for us to have a building that has like a shared workspace and a shared pool area and a shared gym. Those are the easy places to make new friends in a new city. Like for us, we go to the gym, we meet other people there. If we go work in the workspace, we talk to other people that are there working too. And you start to see similar people like by the pool and downstairs in the lobby area where people hang out sometimes. It's like easy to make connections. So that's why I think like, yeah, we pay a little more than probably most people would say like makes sense for rent. We're too we're I was gonna say we're single. Well, we're in a relationship, but we're not married. So we're unmarried. We don't have children. We both have a high income. So I think we built a life in our 30s where we can choose to put a little bit more money to the categories that matter to us the most and not spend as much in the categories that don't matter to us as much, right? So I mean, we just don't shop that much. We don't shop for clothes and shoes that much. I don't really buy makeup, jewelry, clothes, shoes. I used to spend a lot of money on that stuff, and now, look, I got the basics. The classic white, black, gray, navy blue, done, boom, that's it. Like I don't feel the pressure to like show off clothes, shoes, jewelry, makeup, and nails, and all that kind of stuff. Because for me, I was putting a lot of money towards that, and I felt that it was not really meaningful for me. What's more meaningful is where I spend my time, my space. Just really, to me, apartment is more important than what my clothes and shoes and what I buy and what I wear. Diana R2121 on Instagram had asked me if Miami is cheaper than New York. Yes, it is. I talked about that when I said cost of living. So yes, the answer it is. It is, and especially Uber and Lyft. Yo, you guys, I took an Uber when we first got here. The airport is probably like I would say 7 minutes from the airport to where we live, and we had to get in an Uber just that 7 minutes, right, to get here. 7 minutes in an Uber, and it cost less than $7. I think it was like $6.40 something cents. And I was shocked. Like literally, I was like, huh. If I had pearls, I would clutch them because the fact that I'm paying less than $1 per minute in New York City. I would never pay less than $1 per minute. Like if I'm going 5 minutes, that's gonna cost me $7. If I'm going 10 minutes, I'm gonna pay $15, $16 minimum. So I'm so used to like when I get Ubers and Lyfts in the city, in New York City, paying like just a lot. And I'm that's why I would usually just take the train or, have somebody drive me because it can add up when you're taking a lot of Uber and Lyfts. But here it's just so much cheaper compared to where I'm coming from. It feels like it's more realistic that I could take an Uber or a Lyft 10 minutes away, 7 minutes away, 8 minutes away. And the cool thing is the neighborhood that we're in is very central to other areas. So somebody on Instagram, I think it was my boo, Queer Chicano. It was Queer Chicano asked me, "Have you been to Wynwood, the Arts District?" Wynwood is like 10 minutes from here. So if I hop in a cab, I'm gonna be there in a few minutes. And so it's so nice to have all these like artsy neighborhoods and trendy neighborhoods where people want to go get a drink or want to go see an art show or want to do stuff. So because right now, obviously, we're still in a pandemic, and some people are out and about and everything, and we've gone out with masks and everything, but I still feel like with the variant, things are kind of still a little uncertain. Me personally, I'm not so comfortable just like going to South Beach and just being like, ow, like, not yet. Just for me personally, and I am vaccinated, but I just feel that I'm not there yet personally. So once I am there and ready, we're in a great location to be able to get anywhere that we want to go without having to, pay too much money. And somebody else asked me, I am forgetting who it was. Somebody else on Instagram asked me, oh, Almonte Marie 2020 asked me, did you decide to get a car? What are you going to do about transportation? Great question. And so to answer that one, as I was talking about Uber and Lyft, it was because I do not see us getting a car. We might change our minds. Like, yo, personal finance is personal. Like literally in a couple months, we might be like, oh, you know what? We want a car. But right now, I can totally see us, either biking if it's real close on a city bike or taking an Uber and a Lyft if it's close because everything is, reasonably located here. Or if we're doing a longer trip, like if we want to go to the Florida Keys or something for the weekend and get away, then my boyfriend has a license and he can rent a car for the weekend. And I'm working on my license, y'all. I know back in January, I did a live just like this one. I said my goal for 2021 is to get my license. But listen, I think it's going to be easier to do it now that I'm in Miami because I'll actually be able to practice driving in open spaces. I think in New York City, it's just impossible for me to practice. I would have to sign up for a driver's ed. And I feel like those drivers they were mean. Yo, New York City drivers, they were mean to me. And I did not feel that I was going to be able to learn comfortably with an instructor who was mean to me. So I will find a nice instructor here to teach me how to drive. If you're in Miami and you want to teach me to drive, let me know because I need somebody who's patient because I drive real slow and I'm scared behind the wheel. Let's see who else. Sumaruma 12. What were any unexpected costs that came up when you moved down to Florida? That's a good question. So for me, unexpected costs, one thing did come up that we really did not even think about. And that was the fact that when we moved here, the building had a rule that you could not put the box with all of our stuff that we had shipped here. You couldn't put that box in front of the building and leave it overnight. And we had already paid for the shipping company. I think it was just under $1,000 that we paid to U-Haul to put all of our stuff in a box, which we did. We packed all of our stuff in bags and boxes, put tape, labeled it, and put it all in the box. And then we locked the box with a big master lock. The next day, they sent a person. It was a really cool girl. She came in the truck and literally just put the box on the back of the truck and drove off. 2 weeks later, they emailed us and said, your box is in Miami already. It's there at the factory, at the headquarters or warehouse. When you are ready, we'll bring it to you. So we were thinking they were going to do the same thing, that they were going to bring the box to the apartment building, put it in the front, leave it there. We would take everything out, and then the next day they would come take the box away. But our building has a rule that says that's not allowed. So because of that, we ended up having to pay extra so that they could send two guys. There were two young guys who were really nice. They came and unpacked the box, brought everything up to our apartment, and then took the box back with them so it didn't have to stay here overnight. So that was unexpected cost that we should have asked the company when we were moving, is it okay if we leave that box overnight and they'll come get it from the U-Haul company the next day? If they would have told us, no, we could have planned for that, but we didn't. Good thing it was only like $250 extra. So instead of paying a little bit under 1,000, we went over 1,000 by a little bit. And so, I think still paying $1,200 or $1,300 is still pretty good for moving everything we own from New York City to Miami. So, I gotta say, I thought that was not so bad. How'd you pick the area that you decided to live in? Honestly, this is She is Libre also. Honestly, we looked around at a couple areas, and because we didn't know a lot, we just went off of like all the things that we wanted. We wanted big windows, a lot of sunlight. We wanted we wanted to have two bedrooms because we both work remotely. My boyfriend works in tech, and so we wanted to each have a place to work. And I also need a place to like be live and do videos without interrupting or like being, annoying to him while he's working. So, like for example, right now he's in one of the bedrooms. I'm in the kitchen area, which is a really big, wide open space, and there's another room over there that I could go work in if I needed to. So it's nice to just have a little bit more space. We've always been in a studio apartment or a one-bedroom apartment, and during the pandemic, we were kind of like all up on top of each other. I would take a call, and he would be right there, like, I'm also taking a call. Can you lower your voice? And asking me to lower my voice. I mean, come on, that's kind of, it's very hard for me to speak lower. This is me whispering, so I don't know how I'm supposed to get any lower than this. And he was just like, all right, maybe we need another room so that you could be in your room and I can work in mine. So we did want a two-bedroom apartment, which is why we ended up looking specifically for two-bedroom apartments that had all the things we liked and also had access to shared facilities, so we could do like the pool and the gym and the workroom and other like little common lounge areas that we could go take advantage of, and also make friends and meet people in Miami. So that's why we decided to live where we live. All right, let's see. I did some Instagrams. Now let me see YouTube. Do you plan on staying in Florida long term? Edward, great question. Honestly, we talked about like, okay, how long you think we're gonna be in Miami? My family's in New York City. I love New York City and I miss New York City so much. Every day when I wake up and I look outside and I don't see New York City, I'm like a little sad. But even when I lived in Jersey, it felt like New York City vibes. So I feel like it's definitely different vibes here. But even just based on the people that I've met so far, I gotta be honest, a lot of the people that we've met that are new to Miami like us, they all moved here from New York City and New Jersey. So there's a lot of people like us. It's not like I'm not going to be able to really find people to hang out with, or that I'm like kind of on my own. And so basically, because of that, we felt a little comfortable and we said, maybe we can be here a little longer. And when it was time to sign the lease, it was either 12-month lease, 16, no, 18-month lease, or 24-month lease. So 24 months felt like, okay, do we want to commit to a whole 2 years? And we could have, I mean, we easily totally could have, but I figured why not undercommit? And if we want to, we can always extend it another 6 months. So what we ended up doing was signing an 18-month lease. And the cool thing about that is that if you sign the 18-month lease instead of the 12-month lease, you get 2 months free of rent. So it means that our rent was a little bit cheaper because we're paying 16 months of rent over 18-month period of time. So that was really nice, a nice little perk when we signed the apartment lease. And it's because this is a new building and they were trying to find tenants. So they had that little promo going on. Millennial Money is here. Hey, Millennial Money, totally agreed to find to rent in the area first. Yep, listen, that's why I didn't go jump to real estate first. Oh, happy birthday to Hannah. Nora's daughter's birthday is today. We talked about my kitchen there. Networking potential expansion is not as large in Miami, though. Good thing that Miami is the same high-end stores as Manhattan does. That's a good point, M. Winda. Honestly, I think that's a great point. Networking is definitely not as easy in Miami, but it is possible. And I will say, for my boyfriend who works in tech, there's a new kind of like tech scene happening in Miami. And I think there's this new energy around both of the things that we do. I work in education, financial education specifically. He works in tech, and those two worlds meet in fintech and ed tech. So I feel that there is a lot happening in the ed tech and fintech, education and tech spaces here. It's just kind of like getting started, which is cool. It's nice to be in a place where there's a new scene being created, because we can be part of the early process of people kind of coming here and creating a new culture, a new scene around this like community and how we want it to be. So I really like that. I've already been networking with people just on LinkedIn, like, oh, you live in Miami, oh, you work in education, oh, you run this organization, let's link up, let's connect, let's chat on the phone, just to really get connected with people that are here. So I'll put that out there, because I do agree in New York City is so much easier to network, like just so much easier. That being said, you just got to tap into communities that you are a part of. Like two of the communities that I plan to tap into soon is Teach for America. I used to do Teach for America. They have Teach for America Miami. I'm sure I could tap into TFA Miami, the alumni, and also the current people that are doing TFA here. And also my university. I can do Brown University alumni that are in Miami. Like tap those networks that you have and try to find out where there are people that, could be your people. The other thing too is like, let's be real. Everybody that knows me and loves me is going to be texting me like, can we come stay with you when we're in Miami? And I'm gonna be like, of course. I would love to have guests. We actually finally have a two-bedroom apartment, which means that we have some space for guests. So I know I'm gonna be seeing friends and family whenever people come to Miami. And if they're not usually coming to Miami, this gives them an excuse to take a vacation to Miami because they actually have a friend here or a family member here, if it's my family. And windows in Miami is cheaper, but it gets boring quickly. That's why I think we're willing to pay a little bit more for rent because we know that there's so much to do here. There's the pool area. There's a little retail area near here that has a lot of stores and a lot of like, it's like a little public square. You can go sit by the water. You can go sit on any of the little public seating area, read, talk to people watch, meet up with people. Like, it feels like there's a little buzzing scene around where we are. And that was kind of part of our decision to move here instead of somewhere else. Because you're right, I can get very bored real quick. Kay says, you mentioned not being married. Is there a financial reason for that? People talk about the romantic side of marriage, but not the financial. Oh, Kay, preach. Okay, I think, I could go on and on for hours. This is going to be the last question because otherwise I'm going to be on here for 2 hours talking with you all. But okay, I'm going to make that my last question. I love your question and I love your point, your comment that you made. I think when people talk about marriage, they absolutely do talk about like the finances, like the romances. They talk about the romantic side of it. Oh, we're in love, we're getting married, everything's about love, love, love. But yes, okay, that's beautiful. And I am not here to like squash anybody's romance or love that they have. But the reality is we gotta look at data. Just like when it comes to your money, you're looking at your budget. When it comes to investing, you gotta look at how much you have to, how much you can afford to invest, how much do you need to retire. When you're looking at your budget, you gotta look at how much do you have to spend in each category. What is your income? Do you need to increase your income? You need that data. You need those numbers, percentages, those metrics, those dollar signs. So all of that kind of stuff is really important. And I feel like for me, most people that I know didn't really spend enough time talking about data and like looking at all of the facts around marriage, like how many people end up getting divorced, how expensive it is to get divorced, how to protect yourself in case you do get divorced, which is a prenup. And on my podcast, I had Erin Lowry, the author of Broke Millennial. She goes by Broke Millennial, and we talked about that prenups and how there's such a like a taboo, like, oh, prenup, like, oh, that means that she must be a gold digger, or he must be trying to try. I don't even know what people say anymore about prenups, but they have a bad reputation. And the truth is, it's just insurance for your marriage, right? If you buy a new iPhone, you want to get insurance to protect in case the screen breaks, right? If you buy a car, you need to get car insurance to protect just in case there's an accident, right? These are the types of things that we have to think about. So I feel that too many people don't focus on that. Now, when it comes to me not being married, it's not necessarily a financial choice. I would say it's just more philosophical. Like my boyfriend and I, we are, neither one of us is like extremely religious in terms of like a practitioner. Like we grew up Catholic with our families being very Catholic, but we aren't super involved, right? Like we're not in church every Sunday. We're not doing all of the religious practices and rituals and ceremonies around, actually being practicing Catholic. I would call that practicing Catholic. And so I feel that marriage has so much more of a religious meaning for our families, and to us, it just doesn't really have that weight for us. We are definitely like, we're fine, we're happy, we have a great relationship with trust and honesty. We talk to each other openly and honestly about everything. We have a lot of communication, especially around finances and especially around trust and especially around the things that we like and don't like that each other does, so that we can work to be better together. So I'm very happy in my relationship. We've been together for a very long time. And I just don't see, like, I don't feel the need to get married. But if that changes, I mean, I'm always open to changing my mind about anything and everything, right? Like we should always be willing to change our minds if facts and figures or something is presented to us that is compelling and changes our mind. We should be willing and open to changing our minds. So this is not like a hard anti-marriage thing, but at this point in my life, I feel that I have no urgency to spend this money on a wedding and to do this ritual and stuff. If it has meaning for me, I will absolutely prioritize it. But right now, at this point in my life, I don't feel that marriage has that big meaning that I think it would need to have in order for me to go into spending all that money like that. All right, I'm about to wrap it up because I've been talking, talking, talking. See, just got here. Will we get an apartment tour? Ooh, okay. You know what? I could do an apartment tour. I'm not gonna do it right now because y'all, I would have to. First of all, I need to clean up a little bit, and also I feel that I would need to have a little more time. So we can definitely do that. So we can do an apartment tour. Maybe I'll do that live, like either at the end of the week or the next live. I'll think about that. But yes, this week I'll figure out what day. Maybe Friday we'll do like end of the week. Like a little happy hour Q&A and apartment tour. Um, when am I going live again? I'm gonna go live again. I'm gonna try to do like 2 or 3 times a week, y'all, because I have to make up for the fact that I was not doing my lives. I was trying to do like a Money Monday thing, and then Mondays with work and everything got crazy, and then of course with the book and the move, I'm gonna try to do 2 to 3 times a week. So Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, at least 2 of those 3 days, if not all of those 3 days each week, I'll try and do. So I'm gonna be live again on Wednesday. Any questions I didn't get to today, I can answer, and I'll also throw out another topic. And then I'll probably come back on Friday, but to do the apartment tour and just the chit chat, like maybe a little happy hour at my apartment. So we'll do that Wednesday this week, Friday this week, come back. And if you haven't gone to my Instagram and hit me up with some questions about my move, you can still do that because I'm answering questions for the next couple hours. And then I'll see you back here again Wednesday and Friday. Thanks everybody for joining, and I'll see y'all next time.